What is up, everybody? F4LESS Roller here. We putting up the birds. This is the main hen kit. This is their fifth day. No, their sixth day up. So, man, they were putting on a good show. They are about maybe 150 feet up. And we just had our MFRG summer picnic meeting. Oh, um, we got talking about flying birds, and I don't know, guys. As a new competitor, I don't think I consider myself a old-time competitor, but I've watched competition teams for a while, and my understanding of the rules and regulations, and I noticed that a lot of people tend to confuse, depth and quality. Like sometimes, I don't know how you guys read the quality and depth. To me, quality is talking about the style and the speed, right? Style and speed of that bird. And depth is just what it is, depth. You know, and not only does quality not just talk about style and speed, it's all about frequency as well, well, I wouldn't even put frequency in there because frequency is going to go with the raw score. So to me, when I look at a score sheet, I don't know how you guys read it, but to me, a bird a bird with high a team of birds can have high quality and low depth points. You know what I mean? Like they might not be the deepest bird, but they really got the speed and they really got the style down. And when I read a chart that says let's say 1.5 quality, that means that kid is spinning with good quality. And their depth is like what, 1.2. That's like maybe a 20-foot bird or 15, 20 feet. You know what I mean? And that's how I read it. And I feel like sometimes, people seems to confuse the two a lot. Oh man, my girls are working it. I don't know if I'm catching on film that great, but man, they are working it. And like to me, being around competition, but just starting to get into it because I'm not losing birds as much now. Look at that. Like if a bird could really ball up and make that roll look smooth and clean, that's like a 1 point, like 5, 1.7. You know what I mean? But if they just don't, I don't know, guys. Everybody has a different view of of what they like. Like to me, okay, let's talk about me for example. My 5'11" hen that named my loft, F4LESS Roller, okay? She wasn't a fast bird, okay? She was not a fast bird. You know, if anything, she was average speed. But she could make the roll look so smooth. Her wing position, I mean, it's like watching a hot knife on butter. You know what I mean? Like it takes effort. It takes no effort to slice through that butter if your knife is hot. You know what I mean? And watching her in the spin makes it look so easy. I mean, she pops out that roll like she didn't even roll at all. She went in one way, she came out the same way she was facing. Just a little bit deeper, and that's the only difference. That's the only difference. And to me, like I would totally give her like a 1.5, 1.6 for quality. You know, so I her style alone, making that roll look so silky smooth. To me, that's a quality roll. Um, and some guys are like, hey, but if that bird wasn't like super fast, you know, I wouldn't have given that bird a 1.5, 1.6. But to me, I'm like, yeah, but you take a bird with the wrong style and give it that speed, it would look super ugly. You will see the wings sticking out. You will see all the flaws in the roll. But if a bird can roll that with that speed and make it look so smooth and effortless, why would you not give it the quality points? You know what I mean? And what I'm trying to get at is that, um, I don't think speed is a super big part. I mean, it is a big part of it, of the breed itself. Um, but I know for a fact that to me, if I'm looking at quality, I'm looking at wing positions more than I am with speed. Now, if a bird is fast enough where you can't read the rotations, that's good enough for me as far as competition goes. Because what I also find is that when you get those birds that defy gravity in the roll, a lot of times they don't drop that deep. And let's be honest, depth is depth. So if a bird rolls for 3 seconds and it only drops what looks like 15 feet, you're not going to get a lot of quality points. You're not going to get a lot of depth points. But if that bird rolled for 3 seconds and is dropping like 60 feet, you're going to be getting a high quality depth point. So, I kind of like, I guess, to summarize it up, I've changed the way I guess, aimed for speed. If it's fast enough and smooth enough and clean enough, that's what I'm looking for. And I've bred some, and I always tell people, in all my careers of having roller pigeons since 2000, I've only bred 3 that I believe is true blurs. And there are guys out there that probably have bred more. Great for you guys. And they probably can produce that more than I can. But you know what? I've also bred birds where if they roll, they just don't drop. And then when they do drop, they're already pulling out the roll. Where they defy gravity. I don't consider those birds blur yet. But they're fast enough where, like if they roll, they're in one spot for a few seconds and then boom, finally they drop, So, it's just something to talk about, think about. And when I see, a scorecard and I see like a 1 point, like 5, 1.6, 1.7. I mean, my standard of what a quality roller is that they all, or that kid has a really good wing position. And those birds, even though if they don't possess the high velocity speed, those birds are rolling with the proper style. And speed can hide a lot of things too. Speed can hide a lot of the style as well. So if you have the eyes to spot the style that you like, I feel like that will reflect on your quality points. And then depth alone is, sometimes I see people will be like, oh look, but there's 3 in there that's like going 60 feet. So how is it that kid is getting like a 1.3? Oh my goodness, what a break that was. What a break that was. But yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I'm enjoying my kids. But all I'm saying is that like sometimes I see people seem to confuse the two. And for me, like depth has nothing to do with quality. It has nothing to do with speed. It has nothing to do with, it has nothing to do with chemistry. It's just plain and simple. Depth is depth. And like, even though those three birds are rocking at 60 feet up there, it's three birds, and you're talking about the whole team, so you got to average it out. So if the rest of the team is going 15, 20 feet, you got three birds up there doing 60 feet. You can't be getting like a 1.5, 1.6. Like, it don't make no sense. The most of the kit is still going like 15, 20 feet. So 1.2, 1.3, you want to give credit to those birds? Okay, 1.4. Oh my gosh, my hands are working it. Oh man. But I'm just kind of putting my opinion out there, and I'm just telling you guys how I read when I look at a score sheet. What do you visualize? To me, if I see a sheet, what I'm looking for is how many breaks did that kit score. Okay, so in 20 minutes, if that kit scored like 30 breaks, they were frequent. That they were working it good. And it's just kind of one of them things where you can tell the frequency of that family, or how frequent they were on that day of. That's what I look for. So number of breaks that were accounted for, and then you look at like how big the breaks were. Are they 10 plus birds? Are they 5, 7, 8, 6? What number? And you get an idea of how the chemistry looks. That's how I look at it. And then when you look at the quality points, right, that means that how many birds in there have the proper role. And it's really hard, in my opinion, when I see like anything above a 1.6. That means that majority, I would say 60% of the kit has that proper wing position where they just H or better. Okay, I'm a style guy, and if a bird or a kit cannot possess the H style, 50% of them cannot possess the H style, they shouldn't be getting 1.5 or more. Jeez Louise, they keep banging into my satellite dish up there. But I'm just putting it out there. This is my opinion, and other people can disagree with me. But an X style bird can never get more than a 1.4, in my opinion. Okay. To me, that's not proper. Anything with the H style is gonna be able to get that 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. Then you start getting into that bow and wings, right? We talk about that bow and wings. When you get that bow and wings, I mean, if somebody can possess a full kit of bow and wings, you should be getting a 1.8, 1.9. I mean, you can't get any better than that as far as style go. So to me, that's the top of the line. The 1.8, 1.9, even 2.0. If all the kit can do it, 2.0, Oh, but like, that's how I look at it, and that's how I judge my my birds. And like, going around, sometimes I agree with the judge, sometimes I don't. But the hard thing is, you gotta average it. So it's just an average of the birds that the judge is trying to do, and trying to be fair on. So I don't know. When I look at, oh baby, man, these girls are working it. But like, everybody does it a little different. I don't bash on the judge for doing what they do, but I noticed that a lot of times when people start giving quality points and depth points, it just doesn't match up. And sometimes I see some birds that have really great quality, but then their depth don't match. And so like, I'll see a judge, like, try to give them a decent score where it's more averaging. But reality is, if that kit ain't hitting like 40, 50 feet, I mean, shoot, that kit ain't above no 1.7 for sure. But that's just me. Oh my gosh, girls, they're exhausted now. They are exhausted, man. They are working it, yo. They are working it. Dang, that was a good break. My girls are working hard. It's hot today, guys. It's like 80 some degrees right now. I'm hiding in the shade. But you know, like I was just talking about quality and depth. You know, and in my opinion, like I said, it's okay, guys, to have a, you know, like a 1.8 quality bird with a 1.0 depth. If they're only going 10 feet, give them 10 feet, you know? Like, there's no shame in that. And take that, you know what I mean? Take that. And that's what we were kind of talking about, too. And that's kind of what Mark Ritter was talking to me about, too, when we were at the after our meeting. You know, like, don't confuse the two. And I totally agree with that, you know? And that's the best that one can hope for, is that the judge will come out there, give you the proper quality and depth point that you deserve, or your kid deserves. Not you, but your kid deserves, you know? We're really out here for the birds. You're not really out here for people and picking and choosing. We're here for the birds. And, you know, like, I've had birds in here that I know for a fact, on a good day, can really crank it up with like a 1.6, 1.7 style. And, you know, on day of, they might just want to do a 1.3 or 1.4. You know, they don't want to give the proper feel. They're probably exhausted. Maybe I overworked them, and they want to put out their wings and look like an axle bird. But, you know, they're birds. Not every day is going to be their perfect performance. You know, nobody goes to the gym and says that they're going to perform the same as they did yesterday. You know what I mean? Things change, you know? Like, you can have an off day. And the same thing with birds, you know? You can't punish them for it. But I don't know. I just kind of want to talk a little bit about that and, you know, like, put my opinion out there that I do agree with that. And, you know, like, learning how to read scorecards can really, like, put you in the right direction. Like, to me, if I wanted a bird that has more chemistry, I'm gonna look for, you know, a kit of scorecard that's gonna have, you know, like double-digit points, 15, 10, 12 bird breaks. You know, at least within 20 minutes. You know, I want to see at least like 5 or 6 of those. If somebody can score 5 or 6 of those, that tells you, hey, that family of birds have good chemistry. But now, I'm not talking about frequency. I'm just talking about chemistry. That means that they really have chemistry. Now, if you start seeing, like, you know, a bunch of numbers, then you know they have frequency. Okay, 5, 6, you know, all that. As long as they have like 30 plus breaks, that's a lot of frequency in one family. So, I mean, you really got to, like, balance it out to see what really fits your schedule and your training method. Oh man, my girls are coming down. They're not gonna commit down low here, but yeah, you know, it's just kind of something that, you know, like, I feel like if you learn how to read scorecards, you can kind of have an idea of what the kits were doing when the judge was out there. And sometimes you cannot agree with the judge's opinion. You know, and it's fair, you know. You don't have to agree with it, but let's say you weren't there and you saw the scorecard. If he's the consistent judge, then at least you kind of have an idea what the kid did that day, and, you know, you can kind of visualize what the kid was doing, even though you weren't there. And, you know, that's how I look at a score sheet. And sometimes, you know, like I said to people all the time, you know, there could be days. There could be days where, you know, oh, she bumped hard. Yeah, they get excited when they come in. So this hen right here is starting to come in the roll. She's a breeder hen that I just started putting back up again. She's bumped hard. She committed to the roll when they were coming in to land. Look at that. Look at those girls. Look at those girls. They are exhausted. They are tired. There goes that hen I tell you guys about. This is one of my most dependable hens. I am thinking about putting her away after this year. She is just, every time she rolls, she commits. This one is also going to be one that I'm going to be putting away too. She does the same thing. Oh man, but and then of course, like you want birds that will commit to the role, and like one thing that I noticed that I struggle with is that finding birds that roll straight and true, right? So we all want to go into competition with birds that roll straight and true. But we've also had birds that, let's say, bam, the kit hits the roll and then they turn. So while the bird's in a roll, one of them's in a roll, the kit's turning, and that bird sees it, so it reacts. So it kind of turns off to the side, And so when they exit the roll, it doesn't look proper. But that if the kit had just paused, that bird has gone straight and true. It doesn't wing switch or nothing. Like flying birds in the wind, for example, is a big factor. I've seen birds that roll good, but with the wind, it'll roll like a sideways roll. I think Mother Nature plays a role in quality too. So, like a bird that, no wind is coming straight down and true, it's gonna look ugly on a windy day. I don't care what anybody really got to say, because you get to see them hit that roll, and then the wind's gonna twist them in a certain way that even though the bird's not trying to twist that way, the wind's is gonna push them that direction. And I feel like sometimes that affects people and the way they judge the quality of birds. But I think if a judge was to judge, he has to be able to discern the difference why that bird's turning the way it was, And not to bash on the judge that came and judged me for the World Cup, but the cockbirds were put up in a 25-mile-per-hour wind, right? And the wind took them. Anytime a bird misjudged and broke or rolled, he was not only rolling far away from the kit, but now he's being blown away from the kit. So as that bird is fighting his way back, it's gonna look ugly because the wind's blowing 25 miles per hour plus gusts. Okay, so we can't see the wind, but we can definitely feel it. The birds are feeling it. They're fighting to come back home, and it's stuff like that where it really like comes into play. But guys, I don't know how you guys look at it, but as for me, learning how to read the scorecards will show you what kind of birds you flew on that day and what your birds decided to do on that day. As you can see, my birds just landed. They're still out of breath. I'm not trying to feed them